Hey friends, welcome to Elevated You with me, Kay Cote. Think of me as that friend in your corner helping you to befriend your inner bully. What is an inner bully? You know, that naysaying voice that's holding you back from reaching your dreams and goals. I'm here to help you break through the lies, self-doubt, and fears that hold you back so you can reach the truest version of yourself. On this show, I share real life stories, impactful conversations, and resources to help you live an elevated life. Are you at a point in your life where you know you need to make a change, but you don't know how? Do you struggle with meeting yourself with kindness and the same love that you show to everybody else? Today, we're chatting with Kim Nagle, a dear friend of mine who also is my business coach. Kim has helped me overcome my self-doubts, my fears, my anxieties, and helped me elevate myself in business and in life. Without Kim, I wouldn't be the woman I am today. I'm so thankful to share this candid conversation with you today. Get ready to get elevated. Welcome to the show, Kim.
Oh, thank you, Kay. This is a first for me. I to be on one of my clients' podcasts. I'm I'm honored and a little nervous.
It's going to be fabulous because you've just helped me grow so much. And I feel like I'm a better podcaster just because you've helped me with, we've talked about things like niching down and also about just believing in ourselves. And I think that's a place where many of us struggle is just having the courage to say yes to us and knowing where to start with that. So I'm so glad you're here. I'd love to hear a little bit about or share a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, like you said, I'm a coach, but I'm unique in the coaching environment. I grew out of a consulting environment. And for those of your listeners who don't know the difference, a consultant actually digs in and gives advice, strong advice or recommendation about direction, provides in depth tools for the business planning process, and will often work you through all of the details as a somebody on their staff might. A coach, on the other hand, is more of a um, it serves a role to reinforce what you said, to reinforce an individual's belief in themselves, to hold them accountable, to help them often answer their own questions, because that's where belief comes from. When you get that aha moment where that's what I was thinking. And a good coach will help you guide you through that process. But in my own experience with my clients and being coached myself, is that it really is that affirmation and accountability that a coach provides that is indispensable. It's indispensable. And I know we're going to be talking about asking for help a little bit today, which is one of my favorite topics. It was a life changer for me. So, coaching is all about asking for help. And I've been doing this work for 30 years. So, like I said, I grew out of the consulting world, started coaching as a full time practice about 10 years ago. I co own the Damn Plan Coaching, and I co own it with my youngest daughter, who is an extraordinary businesswoman herself, and which is kind of unique again in the world of coaching to co-own with your daughter and all the challenges and wonderful pieces that brings up. Let's just say we've been pregnant for 3 years because she gave birth to my last two grandchildren, which is fabulous. And it's why we've chosen to go into business so we can develop a business that fits our lifestyle. That's the other thing I do is I really, really work with women who not only want to make a substantial income, who not only want to pay themselves their value, but want their business to align with their life so that they don't get to the end of their life or somewhere in the middle of their life or in the beginning and go, all I ever do is work. I just, that's not what life is about. Life is to live, love, and enjoy. And that's what I coach my women to do.
That's so incredible. I love that story too about, having your business partner be your daughter. I think that's such a fun, unique mother-daughter team. I know you and I have talked about that before, but like what a cool experience that your personalities also mesh really well for business and you both have different roles. So that's so cool to have like your partner be family. I love that.
Well, it's funny you should say how our personalities mesh. Our personalities are actually opposite. So when you talk about who you ask for help, all too often people ask for help from somebody who has the same doggone problem they
Mm-hmm.
do. And instead, I asked for help from my daughter who has the solution to my problem, albeit I'm a bit of a procrastinator. She is not. And so sometimes we butt heads a little bit over it, but it's the best decision I ever made, on the other hand, was to align with somebody who backfilled my weakness, let's call it, so I could work to my strength. So I could play to my strength 100%.
That's such great insight too, because that's exactly like been this last year, just thinking about my own life and how I want to grow. The best place to like the best people to surround yourself with are those that fill the gaps or that may fill
Mhm.
in the areas that can help you grow, and then you can do your thing that you are amazing at. And that's what I found too with myself is like I'm looking at next steps for like first hires or things like that. So I think that's a really valid point that, sometimes asking for help isn't from someone with the same problem, but was someone with a better solution.
Absolutely. And oh my gosh, that can be a struggle too, because if we're hanging with people who just say, "Oh, I feel so bad for you. I understand." That's not going to elevate us. That's not going to bring us up. That'll keep us exactly where we're at. So it's a real challenge to reach out and be with people who are going to push you.
Oh, 100%. It's funny you say that too, because when you and I met, I noticed too, like our personalities, it worked really well because you were really good at pushing me, but also like being kind about it. And that was I think what I needed, because I was like, I know when I fought, like when I have growth, it's when there's people that are like coming from a place of love. Drill sergeants, I shut down. They're for some, but I'm like, no, I need the love, I need the feels. And then I kick it into high gear and get the damn thing done.
I love it that you mentioned that, because not everything has to be drill sergeant style. It it is a loving expression to offer your support in a real way to someone that you know is going to be challenging, but that is going to be affirming, and it comes from that place of love.
Mhm.
My One of my favorite books is The Four Agreements, and one of the agreements is to be impeccable with your words, which means to be impeccable with the words we use to ourselves and be impeccable with the words we speak to others. Or in another way of saying it, speak your truth in kindness. So if I get called out by my daughter for procrastinating and she's coming at it from a hurtful standpoint, oh, my baby donkey gets her heels in the mud and I am not going anywhere. But if she
Mhm.
comes after it or toward me with kindness, with a desire to help, it's motivating. And the same for the words we use with ourselves and with that we accept from others.
Oh, I 100% agree with that. And it's so funny you say the four agreements, because every year in the beginning of the year I pick a phrase, a word, and a mantra for just the starting of my year. Just things to not so much a like have to do every day, like stipulations. It's more of these are just things that I come back to. And my phrase of the year is that be impeccable with your word.
Mm.
That's incredible that you said that, because that is my phrase of the year, trying to be impeccable. And you said one thing that really stood out to me too, to ourselves. And I think that's where a lot of us, that's where I struggle. I can be the kindest person in the world, be impeccable with my word to everybody else. And then looking at myself in the mirror like, Kayla, what the heck are you doing? Like, please tell me you can relate.
Yep. Oh, I can relate. I can totally relate. I look in the mirror and I see every flaw, whereas
Mhm.
those we surround ourselves hopefully see every bit of gold in us. My friend, my boyfriend, I guess now. I've formed a new relationship that is unique to me in that he is one of those people that is impeccable with his words. And he was feeling broken. And I asked him to imagine, as it is in Japanese lore, when a vessel breaks, when a vase breaks, instead of throwing it out and saying it's broken, they fill it with gold. They fill those cracks with gold. And that's kind
Mhm.
of when we see ourselves, we should see that in ourselves that we are filled with gold, with lessons learned, with things we've overcome, and with the people that have walked into our lives, whether they've been helpful in a positive way or helpful in a negative way. We should
Mm.
see all of that as that beautiful gold.
Little golden life
Mhm.
nuggets.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it too. That is incredible. And that kind of leads me into, going back to, the asking for help thing. That's kind of our topic today. And, you came into my life in a time where I was in a transition. I was getting ready to move clear across the country, grow my newly revamped podcast. And you came in at the perfect, it was like divine timing when you walked into my life and we had that quick call. I think just a quick call. And I knew I was like, there's something here. And I had always been scared to invest in myself, especially when it comes to asking for help. I was tough. I was like, oh, I can figure it out. And oftentimes we can figure it out. But honestly, I think the value in surrounding yourself with, like you said, like with the people that fill the, not our weak points, but our grow points, fill our grow points. You were there for me it took me a little while, I know, but I finally said yes. And I'm so glad I did because now we have a great relationship. You've helped me grow so much in the last 4 months. So, what would you tell someone who's on the fence of like, I don't know if I want to invest in myself, even if it's something small? Like, what would you tell them to say it's okay to ask for help?
Asking for help. I talk about it in the damn plan because for the vast majority of my life, I did not ask for help. I was, I am woman, hear me roar. I am, I can do this. I can move an entire household of furniture by myself with a couple of rugs. That's a trick all by itself. But it's been done because it was easier to do it and break my back than it was to be disappointed if I asked somebody for help and they said no, or
Mm,
they griped the whole time, or whatever I would have to endure to get the help I needed. And that was my experience with help for a long, 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 long time. Was it's just easier to do it yourself.
mm-hmm.
So essentially, our fear of asking for help comes from two places. From my own personal experience, I've learned this from, psychologists say this, but it comes from a trauma response, a survival response that as long as I stay here, I'm safe.
Mm-hmm.
The minute I ask for help and open up, there's two things that have to happen. Number one, I have to trust, and number two, I have to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it
Mm-hmm.
could be as something as moving furniture. Let's keep it easy today and say we're moving furniture. I have to trust that that person will not make it tougher than it has to be, that it won't be a miserable experience, that they'll say yes, that they'll be kind.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have to tell the truth that I can't do this by myself. And sometimes even admitting that you can't, that you're not strong enough. I mean, I have a few years on me. My knees aren't what they were when I was 30. So some days it's hard for me to ask for help to lift heavy stuff
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to admit the truth that maybe my knees aren't as good as they were when I was 30. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
all silly and simple, but that is true for everything. So when
Mm-hmm.
I ask for help for my business, I reach out and ask for help for emotional support. I reach out and ask for help because I'm in an abusive relationship, I'm financially in trouble, whatever it is. At that point, in order to get the help I need, I have to trust. that person I'm asking? And that's hard if we've lived in that survival mode where trust is not always rewarded.
Mhm.
And it's also very hard to tell our truth because, geez, what will the neighbors say? What will people think if I actually tell them? I'm going to go see a psychologist that I'm paying and I'm going to get help. I'm going to get therapy. And I'm even afraid of what he or she might say. They might think I'm crazy. Well, really? I mean, but that is the truth. It is such the
Mm.
truth. So I recognize how hard it is to ask for help because I've been there. I've coached many, many people that when offered a trusting relationship, still struggle to step in with the whole truth. And sometimes it simply takes time. So I think
Mhm.
everyone that is wanting help, but perhaps afraid to ask because of trust, because they'll have to tell the truth, should give themselves a lot of grace and, step in with baby steps. You and I stepped in with baby steps.
We did.
We stepped in with tiny little safe steps until each of us developed that trust, built that trust bond.
Mhm.
So, asking for help, that's why a lot of people just simply don't ask for it. But that's what a good coach is here for, is to be that objective person in your life who's neither there to psychoanalyze you or tell you you're wrong or whatever. They're just there to give you a space where you can learn to trust again.
Mm. It's so beautifully said. And it's so true. And that's exactly where I was, coming from my own personal experience was I was tough and I grew up on a farm where my mom had to handle everything herself. She felt she had to handle everything herself and she didn't have the resources that we do now. So I think it just kind of came to a point in my life where I was just tired of being tired and tired of trying to figure it all out myself. I do well with dialogue. I do well with bantering and like figuring things out. That's why I podcast. And I finally hit me. I was like, hey, get over your ego. You're going to be all right. And like you said, just taking baby steps, getting to know each other. And I think that's a really great starting point for anyone who's not done it before.
Mhm.
Now I'm like the first to ask. I'm like, hey, someone help me with these boxes. And like, it's amazing. You can get so much done.
It is. You know what? I think we forget. Here's a little tidbit that sometimes can help people get over the barrier of asking for help. We've been trained in our society to think that when we ask somebody for help, let's just say to move those boxes, it's a big put out. We're putting them out. We're asking them to do something that's, we're going to trouble them. Can I trouble you for a few minutes is usually what the old people would say. But it's what we're doing when we reach out and say, will you help me, is we are giving that person a gift. We are giving them the gift of an opportunity to help another human. And in our lives, that is our purpose. That is our highest purpose, to help each other, to help each other grow, to help each other survive, to help each other thrive. That is our purpose as humans.
What is one time that you had a time in your life where you really looked at your life and you said, I really need help with something, maybe, something big.
There's so much more that can happen when we are open and honest. And my life-changing moment is not some big wasn't there wasn't a blow up, there wasn't a catastrophe. As a matter of fact, I'm totally convinced that the biggest changes in our life happen in a whisper.
Mm-hmm.
They literally happen in a whisper, and I was laying in my bed looking at the wall going, is this all there will ever be? so discontented with my life, and really coming to terms. We talked a little bit about mindset without saying the word mindset, but the first thing that has to happen in order to ask for help is we have to change our mindset around who's responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking at that wall going, is this all there will ever be? And realizing that only I had the power to change. I couldn't change anyone else in my life. I could only change myself. And I went from staring at the wall to having an anxiety attack in the shower to looking in the mirror and wondering who the heck this woman was.
Mm-hmm.
And where was the woman that I always thought I was, that I wanted to be, that I dreamed of being? And why hadn't I done what it was going to take to be the woman I wanted to be? It had nothing to do with money. It had nothing to do with anything other than feeling good about myself and loving myself, because I had become someone that someone else could love.
Mm-hmm.
I had adapted myself to the point where I was unrecognizable in that mirror.
Mm-hmm.
And many years earlier, I had met a woman. She does image therapy. So I'm a very visual person. I think in images. So I thought this would be great. I need to reach out to her. And I was scared because when I had met her years earlier, she had given me a hug. And let me just tell you, she's this big, wonderful empath.
Mm.
Be careful about hogging empaths. Just got to tell you, if they're really an empath, you're going to hear the truth.
Yeah.
She hugged me at that point and she said, "You're not ready." And I wasn't ready those years earlier because my mindset was still on fixing everybody and everything else and not looking at the woman in the mirror and saying, "You're responsible for you."
Mm-hmm.
Now, stepping into that call was terrifying. Calling her and saying, "I am ready to get the help I need." The best thing I heard on the other end of the line was, "I've been waiting for you to call."
Mm-hmm.
That was truth and kindness. That was being impeccable with her words. That was opening up the biggest trusting space that I have ever walked into. I had never reached out for therapy before because remember, I am woman. Hear me roar. I can fix this. I can do all the things. And this was a huge, huge step for me. A number of years later, and I was able to make the biggest determined decision of my life. And that was, amongst a million other things that had to be done, the things to always be me,
Mm-hmm.
to always be me, no matter where I was, what room I was in, who I was talking to know that I was worthy, to know that what I had to offer and bring to the world and my quirky, goofy way of being, weird things I say. I mean, I get a lot of grief for some of the idioms that I use, believe me. And I've been told not to say them, but you know what? They're me. So when I talk about that baby donkey sticking her hooves in the mud, that's how Kim talks. That's how Kim talks.
Mm-hmm.
And I embrace that. And I have continued to reach out for that type of help, whether it's therapeutic, whether it's coaching, whether it's surrounding myself with people who don't allow me to go back to being someone else that someone can love. I will not hang out with people who will let me slide,
Mm-hmm.
period. And so for me, it was life changing. Honestly, I left a multiple decade relationship that was abusive, that kept me in that mode of being someone that someone else could put up with. It kept me down in terms of my self belief. And the minute I stepped out of that, I got healthy physically, mentally, spiritually. It wasn't just like that. Believe me, it wasn't a snap of the finger and overnight, boom, you're good. It was work. It was a lot of work. But I can't tell you a better time, a tougher, better time than that. And I would invite anyone that's listening to this that might be questioning, is this all there is?
Yeah.
To step across that threshold and trust again if you feel like you've lost trust, to be willing to tell your truth and know that no matter what, it's you and you're worth it. You are absolutely 100% worth it.
Oh, Kim, that is so powerful. That whole story and sharing. And I just thank you so much for sharing this with me and with everyone listening. And I just encourage you all to just, if you're at that point where you know something needs to give, you're at that cusp of transformation and you don't know how to get there, but you just something's got to give. Ask. I mean, just even say the words, I need help. Just shout them out, to God, to the universe, wherever. Like, shout it out. That's what I did.
Yeah.
And like, saying the words, writing the words, even if you don't know where to turn, will allow those opportunities for help to emerge. You'll start to see them. And that's when,
Yes.
like when Kim, when you walked into my life and sharing your story about this beautiful soul that you asked for help and how she just knew. That's so, I love people like that. I love to meet people like that because they're just incredible. So,
She
yeah.
gives the bestest hugs on the planet.
Oh, the best
She
people.
truly does. You feel like you've just gone back to the womb when you get hugged by Connie. But
Um,
here's something that I want to interject. We can say we need help. We can say we want help. We could write it down on a piece of paper, write it 1,000 times on a piece of paper. We can scream it out to the universe. But let's instead write, I accept help.
oh, I love that.
I accept help. And just make that a mindset shift and see what happens. I
Hmm.
mean, see what happens in the world. When you are open like that, I accept help. You'd be surprised who shows up. You'd be surprised what shows up. I challenge you. Go for it. And report back to everyone what happened. What happened?
Oh, I love that. Yes, like if you're listening to this and you are going to do this, DM me. If like DM me with your experience, I'm on Instagram at elevatedyou.podcast. That's me and I'm there for you and Kim too. We want to hear from you and this is just so encouraging, Kim. I love that. Like Kim coaching moment right there for y'all. Like this is what I get to experience and you've changed my life and help me see me. And that's the beautiful thing is like when we start to accept help. Kim, this has
Yes.
been so wonderful because this is powerful. I feel the power in this. So I'd love to share, Kim, all of your, how can people get in touch with you and find you online?
Well, you can go to DAM Plan. Yep, you heard it. DAM, DAMN. Just for those of you with tender ears, DAM is determined decisions, act consistently, mind your business, no excuses. But it's damplan.com. And from there, you can find us on all the social and you can watch YouTube videos of me hopefully inspiring you. I think I do inspire you to do better, to do simple things in business, to do hard things in business, to just believe in who you are and play to your strengths, all those things we talked about. And like Kay, I am here to support you. I am here to help you be your most powerful you. When you bring that sense of power to the world, when you bring that sense of acceptance, of help, of positivity, let's just call it. I mean, you're gonna receive that.
Hmm.
You're gonna receive it back. But as long as you're holding yourself tight, standing, sitting behind filters,
Hmm.
today's filters, yesterday's armor, as long as you stay behind that, it's hard to get the help you need.
Hmm.
And we all can use a little help. There's a song. I mean,
The Beatles.
besides the
The
images,
Beatles.
song come to my head. The Beatles, get a little help from your friends. I get by with a little help from my friends, and so, oh boy, don't make me start singing. Oh gosh, Kate.
We'll save that for another day.
I want your podcast to be wonderful, not go. Oh my god,
No.
that's just me. A little more authentic, Kim. We have fun. The bottom line is so often what I get to help with is some of the toughest topics in the world. I talk about money,
Mhm.
talk about finance, I talk about your self belief. We dig in deep to find out what the barriers are. And sometimes that's the hardest work you will ever do. Just like my experience, the hardest, best work I ever did. And so we have some fun. You got to sprinkle in a little bit of goofiness, a little bit of laughter.
Mhm.
Otherwise, truly, life can be a little overwhelming. So don't forget to laugh a lot and have some fun with it. Have to just dance crazy, like you love to
Oh yeah.
dance and sing, and do what it is that you do,
Mm.
and just embrace you.
Yes, that's so powerful. Thank you so much, Kim. And this has just been it's such a joy to share you with the world and share the work you've done in my life and the work you've done in your life and asking for help. So I'm hoping everyone, you're going to be able to elevate yourself by asking for help and accepting help. It's something that we all can do. We need each other. That's what human beings are about. So yeah, thank you so much, Kim. This was a joy.
Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure to serve you, to get to know you, and to help you unlock the power that is you, because the world needs to hear it.